So, if you're not aware, this video might, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do this. So, this add-on, of course, last update was Goku Black, but this one is Mass Saiyan. I'm not sure at the time of this recording if Mass Saiyan and Goku Black videos are going to be uploaded to the channel, one of the channels. There was complications with the video and I couldn't release it. It's finished and everything, but it's just due to complications with it, I wasn't able to get it out. So unfortunately, there was no video going over Goku Black. But for today, obviously we will go over him. We will also go over the new update with a bunch of new characters. I'd like to forewarn everyone that changes could happen before, like in this video, say like character X does this, I could change it before the, everything comes out. Just keep that in mind. Check the patch notes when the thing actually releases. I mean, if you're watching this, it will be out, but regardless, let's just get into the details. Before we start, though, let's quickly go over the patch notes. So the installer was completely revamped. What I mean by this is the installer, these two were like intertwined. A lot of the quality of life choices, such as the stances, the custom voices, all that stuff was lumped into one sub-menu, which you can now just press. You can just tick which ones you want and which ones you don't. None of them are required. The revival speed buff was removed. This was just making the game too easy. Unfortunately, I actually ended up removing this. Hopefully, you guys are okay with that. But thankfully, a lot of characters like Pycon shorten their own revival time, so that'll hopefully make up for it. Previous title screen artworks were removed. This is due to just, like, it was just kind of unnecessary, I felt like. If people really want them back, I can put them back in, but I just didn't feel they were necessary. The anti-cheat for expert missions have been removed, shortening install time drastically. This just means, so if you're not aware, if you tried installing my custom expert missions, they would take 10 years to install, pretty much. So the reason for that was because the quests had anti-cheat placed in them, where if you use like marbling drop or anything like that, it would automatically fail the quest. The problem was it was making the quest take forever to install because it's running like hundreds of lines of code in each quest when it's installing them, and it's making it take forever to install. So I ended up just removing it, mainly due to the fact that I'm not sure if this comes as a surprise, but a lot of these characters don't really struggle in expert missions, and I just feel like it's redundant having it. There's just no reason for it. And it's just like, if you want to cheat in the expert missions and ruin the experience for yourself, you can feel free to, but like, I just didn't feel like it was necessary to keep that. So no anti-cheat for expert missions. Bring your marbling drops in, I guess, man. Internal data was changed. Don't worry about that. Mass Saiyan's character-exclusive Super Soul has been added. I'm not sure if the title would be Mass Saiyan specifically, but yeah, Mass Saiyan has his new Super Soul. A new title screen was added. There's actually another one. I'm going to be doing something I don't try to do, but I'm actually going to be adding something here, so don't worry about that. Created by JSM. Thanks a lot. Okay. So, yeah, new title screen was added, and as you can see down here, another quest creator created me another title screen, so you can check that out in game. Mass Saiyan skill set was revamped, as is, commonality with all these characters. Exclusive Super Souls, the moveset was revamped. Hopefully you guys like it. A new title screen, yeah, we went over that. Installer has a new UI picture, just like with all other updates. The Super Soul Hot Swapper as well has the same picture. So, if you're not aware, I actually ended up making a Super Soul for my co-quest creator JSM here. It's right here. Originally, it was a Rush Key Blast. He suggested he'd prefer Bomb, so I changed it to Bomb. This is available for your CAC in the shop if you're interested in picking it up. It's pretty good. Mira's character-exclusive Super Soul has been added, and his skill sets were revamped. He got one, Towa got one as well. Towa and Bikini Towa's energy release was buffed. It was not buffed with the charge speed buffs, but now it is. A new Super... this should say new Super Soul. Gosh, dude. A new Super Soul available for CACs has been added. Check the shop. That is, we'll go over that later. NPC changes, don't worry about that. Trunks and Bardock from Xenoverse are now named Trunks or Bardock Xeno respectively. This is something that should have been in the game, I don't know why it wasn't. Supreme Kai of Time has got a Super Soul. Her moveset actually wasn't changed. Don't forget, she actually has her own charge up as well, so keep that in mind. Xeno Trunks, both his SKoT versions got the Super Soul. He can actually respond to dual brave sword attack. A new variation was added to Tapion, and then of course JSM title screen. We have some bug fixes as well. Darkness Mixer actually wasn't being installed properly with the charge up speed buff, so it is now. Majin Vegeta's effect 6 was activated infinitely for his PvP soul. My screen just went black. Fuck! Okay, just give me a second. Okay. It should be good now. This was... No, it's effect 7. This effect was activating infinitely. This should only activate one time, but there was an error in the code. It was activating infinite amount of times. Majin Vegeta's PvP soul is no longer broken. Let me actually... it's actually his effect 7, not his 6. Okay. So fixed a bug where first form cells VFX for PvP Super Soul was activating constantly. Whenever you use like when you ever did an action with Cell, his VFX would activate. It's no longer like that. Okay, so this is something I don't normally do, but Dragon Fist Goku's PvP Soul no longer has the effect, cannot be grabbed or stamina broken by ultimates, due to the fact it was incompatible with certain moves. Instead, Goku will now shorten his guard break time by an additional 20% replacement. So, if you're not aware, Dragon Fist Goku is similar to Future Gohan originally, where he had this effect. But, it was causing issues with his Godbreaker skill, and since I've released Future Gohan, I mean, this is not why I changed it. I needed to get rid of... I needed to change the effect, because literally his moveset wasn't working properly. I needed to do something, so I just added this on top of this. So he's, I would argue, probably better now. But this effect is very buggy, to say the least. So I'm not trying to give this to, like, too many characters. So it's like, I was able to... Me removing it, like, I didn't want to, because I prefer him just keep it. But his moves weren't working properly, because of the fact that it just disables grabs and stuff, so... We just fixed that up. Okay. Next up is, Buhan's PvP Super Soul Effect 5 is working properly. Buhan originally in his PvP Soul. In the code, it was 60 seconds, but it was supposed to be 30. I fixed that in this update. Next up, Full Power Frieza Super Soul Effect 2 isn't activating for his PvP Soul. This is inconsistent. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then their grab effect that Dragon Fist Goku had it's being very buggy. It's staying active even after it should wear off. So, we're not sure what we're going to do about that yet, but, yeah, those are the patches for this update. It's a pretty substantial update. More stuff could be added in. If it is, well, check the patch notes for that. But let's get into what you guys are probably most interested in, and those are the details for the new Super Souls from Masked Saiyan. And his... Okay, actually, we should probably start with, the last update, so... I'm going to say strap in. This is going to be a long video, so get your fucking popcorn ready. Okay, Trunks. So, we'll just go for Masked Saiyan first, well, now, should we go over Trunks or Masked Saiyan first? The update with Goku Black or Masked Saiyan? I think we should probably go over... Probably Masked Saiyan, I would say. And then we'll go back and cover Trunks. Because you guys probably had a chance to view these already. So Masked Saiyan as well got a Super Soul that's present on Masked Saiyan. It is titled Mass Madness. At the start of the match, the following effects occur to self. He gets a 30% health boost, which is very good. He gets 100% max ki, which is about 12 ki bars. And an 80% ki recovery boost to help with getting some ki back. He gets some stamina recovery. He gets 40% inflicted damage, which is nice, so he can do a bit more damage to keep up. Damage reduction 10%. Affects game of boosting allies plus 50%. That is as expected with most of these characters. So Masked Saiyan has a new effect for his effect 7, is when this character just guards an attack, the following effects occur to self. No limit. Restores health by 15%. So Masked Saiyan is great for a quest where you can't heal with items. He just can heal infinitely through his Just Guard, but you need to get your Just Guards up. And I believe his Limit Burst is healing, not Just Guard. It's really good ability if you know how to just guard, or if you just block mash, I guess. Sure, man. Okay, so effect 8 is when this character performs a super attack, the following effects occur to self, 10 times only, permanent. He actually gets a ton of melee and strike super damage. This is what Tapion gets exactly, verbatim. They have the same exact ability. However, Master Saiyan gets more stuff. He gets, obviously, 200% melee and strike super damage. He is a melee-based character. His moveset now has a lot more melee attacks. His basic ki blast and ki super damage goes up to 50. So he's not doing no damage with those, but he's not doing nearly as much. He gets 20% damage reductions up to 30. He actually gets stamina damage plus 15% up to 150%. He pretty much is a stacking character on super. Every time you use a super, you'll get these abilities. However, your ki will always be reduced to 0. Meaning, if you're at 12 ki bars and you use a super attack while this isn't done, you'll lower your ki to 0 to get a stack. It's just a trade-off. First Form Cell has a very similar mechanic. Master Saiyan, in my personal opinion, is a very fun character. He does a lot of damage very quickly. He can be a little squishy with only 30% damage reduction, but I actually really have a lot of fun with him. His extreme stamina damage is similar to Majin Vegeta, actually. He also stacks stamina damage. He gets 24%. Master Saiyan gets 150%. I know the difference is pretty big, but Majin Vegeta has this really good mechanic down here. The block mechanic. I really like this mechanic, actually. I think it makes Majin Vegeta really good. Master Saiyan doesn't get that, but he does get crazy stamina damage, so shred people in PvE. For PvP, we have his PvP, so we can go over really quick. So, it's the same thing, but he only gets 2% health back in PvP, and then he stacks lower stats 3 times instead of 10, and the same abilities. So, Master Saiyan, I would argue, is very fun. I do have a lot of fun when I play as him, so I hope you guys enjoy him as well. So next up we'll go for Mira. A weaker opponent wouldn't do, present on every Mira but supervillain. I should probably actually put this in here, supervillain excluded, because Mira not final form. Mira should not be supervillain, he shouldn't get that. A weaker opponent wouldn't do is his super soul name, the start of match, following effects. So Mira only gets 10% health. However, he gets 100% ki recovery and max ki. Master Saiyan gets 80% ki recovery. So it's like the 20% trade-off from here to here. Unlike Master Saiyan, though, Mira actually gets stamina and stamina recovery. Master Saiyan just gets stamina recovery, not stamina. So Master Saiyan with the extra evasive power and prowess will be a lot better. Inflicted damage, plus 50%. He gets 10% more than Master Saiyan. Mira, we'll get into what he does, very interesting. But he gets some damage, which is nice. Just general 50%, so he can just do some damage to any boss. He actually gets 30% damage reduction baseline. I believe this is the highest out of any character. I believe he's at 25 DBS Trunks. No other character hits 30%, right? I believe it's just Mira who hits 30. Even Gogeta's at 15. He gets it with just guards. He can go above it. Yeah, I believe he actually does have the highest amount of damage reduction of any character. So he won't be taking much damage. And his effects gain when boosting allies, he gets 50%. Once again, do keep in mind, this could change before release. Check the details when the thing comes out, if you're curious on what that character does. Mira, so Mira's secretly one of my favorite characters. When an ally is KO'd, the following effects occur to self, no limit, permanent. He gets 25% health, 10% damage, and 5% speed. So theoretically, you can just infinitely stack attack and speed with Mira and infinitely heal. However, it's predicated on an ally dying, so you can't just abuse it. You need teammates to die, and it's very risky. Because Mira himself, well, he does have 30% damage reduction. He has nothing else, really. And I don't feel like Mira's the greatest character in the game. So, there is a bit of risk in playing as him. This may be lowered, but I'm probably just going to keep it the same. His 8th effect is actually pretty interesting. When this character is attacked, there's a 5% chance the following effects apply to self. For 20 seconds, 7 times. He gets 300% stamina ki recovery, 50% damage, and restores health by 2% every second up to 40%. This is very similar to what Broly does down here, I believe. He has the same exact thing as Mira. Except his chance is way higher. I would argue Broly's is still a better effect, because Broly Sorry about the jump cut, by the way. I had something just like went haywire with my recording, but everything should be good now. Hopefully, everything is at least. But yeah, as I was saying, I think Broly is a little bit better than Mira in this effect because Broly gets this insane damage here. It's crazy. Broly can do so much damage. He only gets 25%, but if this activates, where they get more damage, and then this, oh my gosh, dude, Broly can kill people. But, I mean, Mira, like, he has the same ability, but he gets more health and stamina key recovery, but I think Broly's better, personally, with this effect. Mira, in general, is probably better than Broly, but I still really do like Mira a lot. He's very fun. He's very gimmicky, like First Form Cell, as we'll go over. But yeah, so, I hope you guys enjoy Mira. He's very fun. His PvP soul, what are the differences again? When health falls below 20%, following effects occur to self, he gets 35% damage and 35% speed. Effect cancels if health goes above 20. And then when this character attacks, there's 20% chance for this to happen right here. It's similar, but it doesn't last as long, and it's just a nerd, watered-down version of his PvE soul. Not much time to spend on here. Mira, overall, very fun character. Towa. So, Towa has a Super Soul now on all her variations, including her Bikini variation. Fruit of a researcher's ambition. At the start of the match, the following effects occur to self. She gets 30% health as well, just like Master Saiyan. She gets 80% key stamina and 100% stamina recovery. This is crazy good, as we'll get into, and I'll go over why. 50% damage, so she can, pack a little bit of a punch. Damage reduction plus 30%, that's what Mira gets. That's secretly, really good. Really good. Now, one of my personal favorite abilities, you might hear me say this a few times, but with Pycon, this ability here might be my favorite ability out of any character. She has the inverse of this, and she will increase the time it takes for an ally to revive. Combining that with Goku Black or Pycon, it would just be crazy. So she gets 300% gained effects from boosting allies, because we'll go over why. But she's really good in that regard, and she shortened her own guard break time by 30%. Towa has craziness just up here, I would argue. She's very good. I would argue Towa in base universe is fucking atrocious, so I wanted to give her a bit more. So effect 8, when performing an ultimate attack, applies the following effects to self and allies for the duration of the skill. She gets 10% health every second, and there's no limit to this. This is crazy, because when you use Energy Zone, this will be active the entire attack. She gives 66% damage, 10% damage reduction, and 100% stamina recovery. But this is only while the ultimate is active. She has Energy Zone and Super Ki Explosion. You might think this would just work with Energy Zone, but this actually does work with Super Ki Explosion as well. I intentionally made it like that. It was originally just Energy Zone, but I felt like Towa being played by a bot doesn't use Energy Zone that much. So any ultimate will activate this. Towa is very similar to Tapion in that regard of the fact that she supports with a move. She's very good. I really like bringing Towa as an AI. I'm not even going to cap. And then she gets this nice effect when this character dies. Following effects occur to allies. She gets 100% key to the entire team. She's just very good. Obviously, because this effect is it's good, but with, the faster key recovery and shit, it's not as good, but it's definitely nice. But because she doesn't have a crazy effect 9, her effect 8 is a lot better. Or her PvP soul. Same thing. However, it only works on Energy Zone and PvP. It gives less damage, less health, all that shit. It doesn't give stamina recovery, and this effect only applies at the start of the match to the whole team. So, she's pretty good in PvP. Alright, Supreme Kai of Time. This is one I think a lot of you guys might like. So, Supreme Kai of Time has a Super Soul on her. Dauntless Dedication to Protect History. At the start of the match, the following effects occur to self. 30% health, very good. That's very high. I believe that is what Towa gets, right? Yeah. Master Saiyan gets it as well. Not Towa. 30% health is, I believe, the new highest. It's a very good ability. She gets 90% stamina and stamina recovery. She gets no ki, but stamina is still really good. So, she's similar to Dragon Fist Goku, and the fact that she does 70% damage with melee attacks, but her blast attacks are 120%. Dragon Fist Goku has a very similar ability. He only does 60% with these, but special strike attacks are 150. Supreme Kai at time is at 120 for key attacks. She gets 25% damage reduction. This should be... Sorry, guys. I gotta fix this really quick. 9 and 10. Okay. Let me go get our PvP soul really quick, and I'm gonna forget otherwise. Oh, no, our PvP one's fine. Okay. Oops. Alright. So she gets 25% damage reduction. Very solid. That's what Pycon gets and a few other characters. She has this really good ability Towa has. Combining that with Pycon is crazy. 100% boost when allies are being boosted. And she nullifies the poison status ailment. Zamasu does the same thing. We'll go over Zamasu in a little bit, but that's a very good effect. When an ally KOs an enemy, the following effects occur to self and allies 3 times only. She gives 15% key blast and key super damage, or 5% up to 3 times, which is 15. 10% up to 30 max key, which is like 5 key bars, and 30% key recovery up to 90%, which is very good for regenerating your key for the entire team, especially for a character like Mass Saiyan who might need a lot of key. Very good. However, her 10th effect of her things is crazy. She gives 60% key blast and key super damage to the team and 10% damage reduction at the start of the match. Characters who do a lot of blast damage will feast off of Supreme Kai time being on the team. I'm trying to think of a good character. Gogeta, he's really good. Majin Vegeta's a blast-based character with all the blast damage up here. Like, he'll be doing a lot. Like, he's at, 20% here. He's stacked with Atomic Blast. Dude, Majin Vegeta's going to be like goated McGee with Supreme Kai time. I need to try that out, actually, in-game. But she's crazy for blast damage, or even for your CAC, if you like blast build, to go for it. But that's Supreme Kai time. She's very fun. She's also really good by herself. This does not activate if she kills an enemy. The ally has a KO, so keep that in mind. Her PvP soul is... Everything here is the same, of course. However, she gets her abilities when she just guards instead of an ally KOing someone. Numbers are lower. And she gets the support buff, less damage, but for 30 seconds instead of permanent. Alright. That should fix that. So let's go for Xeno Trunks. Xeno Trunks is called, I'll send you right out of my timeline. At the start of the match, the following effects occur to self. Base max health plus 25%, 60% key and key recovery, 60% stamina and stamina recovery, crazy. 40% melee and special melee, 130% key blast and key super damage, unbelievable damage, 15% damage reduction, 50% boost when boosting allies, and gain access to respond to Brave Sword attack, dual attack. This Tapion's dual ultimate. As you saw in the patch notes, Tapion got a new variation where he has the skill, so you can run them together now. When this character performs an ult, when over 50% HP, the following effects occur to self. 7 times only. I believe this should be 5, not 7. Just keep an eye out for the final build. It's either going to be 5 or 7. I need to check the code again. So, but the special damage goes up by 200%. Meaning, you hit dual Brave Sword attack, it won't be as crazy without this, but it'll be doing so much damage. And if you hit like Heat Dome attack with this active and in like Supreme Kai time, you'll nuke anybody. You have 600% stamina damage to immediately break their stamina, and he lowers his key to 0 like Mass Saiyan does. So if you're at like 15 key bars, it'll get reduced to 0 no matter how much key you had. Proc and ult. It'll be proc and ult. This character just guarding gets stats, 10% key recovery up to 100%, 5% damage up to 50, 1% damage reduction up to 10, 35% damage reduction, or 25% damage reduction. Not super tanky, but pretty good. 50% damage. I would save this until you get this built up. So there's a bit of skill behind this character and needing to get your just guards in before you go crazy on your enemy. His PvP Super Soul is the same thing, however this only activates once, 50% damage, 200% stamina damage. His key doesn't get reduced to 0 in PvP though. And he also doesn't, he gets 4 effects, right? No he doesn't. He just doesn't reduce his key to 0. And then he's stacked with just guarding twice, lower numbers and all that fun stuff. That's not it though. So there's actually a new Super Soul for CACs as we went over. And that is actually Mira Final Form gets a Super Soul. But because he's not playable, the only thing I can do is just give it to your CAC. So the first effect is, the Super Soul is called Demon Realm Strongest, available for CAC, found in shop. Effect 1 is effects game when boosting allies plus 100%. When this character just guards an attack, the following effects apply to self. Restores health by 5%. And when this character performs a super, the following effects occur to itself 3 times. You get strike damage, blast damage, damage reduction, and your ki gets reduced to 0. This is good on strike build characters. Like if you're running like I guess a male Saiyan with a super great strike build, this would be really good for that. Very solid super soul if you ask me. I guess now we will finish up and we will quickly just go over Goku Black, Zamasu, First Form Cell, and Trunks's. I'm not going to spend too much time on them. I'll just give them the rundown. So Trunks has a super soul called This Medicine Will Stop That Disease. His first effect is he gets 10% health, he gets 30% ki and ki recovery, 30% stamina and stamina recovery, 60% melee and strike super damage, 10% damage reduction, and 50% effect gain when boosting allies. He does a lot of melee damage with 60% here, but that's going to change in just a second. It seems a little low, but let's go over this. He just guard 5 times, he needs 5 stacks, up to 100%, and then 4% damage reduction. He's up to 30% here. Now, I know that still might not seem crazy, but there's this. He gives support to the entire team. He gives 3% damage reduction, 10% damage, 25% stamina recovery, and 15% max ki and stamina. This is insane. You can get a lot of characters that have extra stamina. This will be enough for an extra evasive skill. And a very hard quest, that extra evasive will it just makes such a huge difference. And the extra damage and shit is so nice. I couldn't make Trunks, like crazy good because he's a support. You can bring multiple of him. Because support, if you're not aware in, I guess, development terms, can get extremely out of hand. Very quickly because you can bring duplicate characters. It can get crazy. And you could, stack, originally I wanted this to be a little bit more, but there would be no reason to bring anyone else if someone's too good, so it's just, it's the way it is. I mean, he makes such a huge difference, though, regardless. I really like Trunks. His PvP soul is he gets his Just Guard, less damage and shit, and then his support is less stuff, and then he also goes for 30 seconds instead of permanent. I should not say permanent. There we go. Okay. Next up is Dragon Ball Super Trunks. He gets 20% health. His super soul is called Go to Hell Black. On all future Trunks from DBS, sort of hope excluded. He gets 50% ki, 60% stamina and max stamina. Or stamina recovery and max stamina. 50% damage, 25% damage reduction. Very good. He gets 50% effect gain when boosting allies. When his guard is broken or stamina hits 0, applies the following effects to the targeted enemy for 10 seconds 7 times. Seals all skills. Ki and stamina recovery minus 100%, and speed minus 50%. This is like a diet version of what Dragon Fist Goku does, but he actually seals skills, which is very good. And he's stacked with ultimate attacks, just like Buhan does. He gets crazy amount of special damage. This is not melee damage, this is special damage, meaning attacks like Burning Strike and Finish Buster and stuff like that are affected by that. And he gets some extra ki recovery, so very fun, stacked 5 times with ults with the extra ki. Hopefully shouldn't be too bad. And he doesn't reduce his ki to 0 either, so Goku Black is, in my opinion, probably the best character so far, so we can get into him. His super soul is called Built for Body's Prowess. At the start of the match, he gets 20% health, 66% stamina, 80% stamina recovery, 66% inflicted damage, 6% damage reduction. He gets effect gain when boosting allies plus 50%. He shortens his own revival time by 25%. Easily one of the best abilities in the game. Easy. And he gained instant response to dual instant severance. Spoiler, Zamasu gets the same thing with Black Kamehameha. So they're meant to be used together. It's very fun to run them together. When this character hits by an ult, he gets the following effects to self. He has 33% ki, max ki, 66% ki recovery, 25% damage, and 16% damage reduction. 6% is extremely low, but 16% being added onto that suddenly isn't so low anymore. You need to get hit by an ultimate attack. Blocking it does count, so just be very mindful of that. Make sure you get hit by your ult. You'll be doing a lot of damage if you do. So the following effects occur to self based on the amount of time this character has been KO'd. He gets 1 health bar for the first time. The second time, he revives with a health bar. And the third time is he increases the following stats. 60% damage reduction in addition to the 16 plus 6, which is 22. He's at 28%, which is really high, and 45% special damage. Combined with this, and this, he'll be hitting like a nuke, especially with this. I really like Goku Black. And following him up is Zamasu, another character I really enjoy. He gets 25% health, 50% stamina, 70% stamina recovery, 50% damage, 50% gained effects boost when when boosting allies, shortens own revival time by 25%. Goated ability, you really love it. Nullifies poison status ailment, and gains access to respond to dual super black Kamehameha, just like Goku Black. When this character is revived, the following effects occur to self. He gets 100% health every second. This is a permanent buff. He infinitely heals for the entire fight. Insane. 20% ki, about 3 ki bars. 100% ki recovery is crazy, half a divinity unleashed. And 50% damage for just reviving. Very good. 50 here, 100% just from that. And when this character is hit by Super Blast or a Ki Blast Ultimate Air Evasive, there's a 15% chance the following effects occur to self for 3 seconds. Restores health by 10% every second up to 30%, and nullify damage from the attack. This has no limit, by the way. Zamasu is immortal in the show, and I wanted to incorporate that into his character. So this is the best way I thought of doing it without making him super ridiculous. But if this activates infinitely, dude, like if you get lucky, you just can't die. He's just so good. I love Zamasu. His PvP soul is... he only heals by 1% for 30 seconds, and then he has the same ability in PvP, but it's only 5 times, and he restores health by 5% instead of 30. Or 10 for every second up to 30. It's up to 15. Very fun character. First form Cell, the Super Soul's called. Feel honored, you're going to feel my power, which is on first form Cell, obviously. Start of the match, the following effects occur to self. 20% health, pretty good. 60% stamina, pretty good. 70% stamina... oh, 60% ki, pretty good. 70% stamina is very good. 10% damage is pretty bad, but we'll touch on that. 10% damage reduction, once again, pretty bad, but we'll touch on it. And then his sixth effect is his effect gained when boosting allies, plus 50%, just like all the other characters. So, he gets no ki recovery, no stamina recovery, very low damage, and damage reduction. He might seem bad, but... when life absorption connects, the following effects occur to self. No limit. Restores health by 10%. Just for connecting. And by connecting, I mean if it touches your opponent. Even if they block it, it still counts. You just heal. Heal. That's all what happens. You just heal infinitely. And when life absorption connects, the following effects occur to self. No limit. Permanent and stackable. 5% damage and lowers ki to 0. So... technically, you can heal infinitely by attacking an enemy, and you can stack infinitely. But it's only by 5%. At 10%, it starts at. So, if you put in the yards and actually try to go crazy with Cell, and you get lucky and don't get one shot by an attack, he is very good. He has potential to be the hardest hitting character in the game if you put enough time into him. But at the same time, he has no defense. He just dies instantly. He gets 20% health here, he heals here, and he heals on life absorption normally, but he has no defense. So in hard quests, he's going to get one shot. But if you play defensive and you heal a lot, there is a chance you can survive. If you bring some characters like Supreme Kai Time and Trunks, or Trunks and Pycon, or maybe Supreme Kai Time and Pycon to give 10% damage reduction, you might actually be good. So yeah, those are the Super Souls. His PvP soul is the same thing, 5%, 3%. Instead, obviously PvP is a lot scarier. I feel like 3% is a little too high, but well, I mean I already released it, so he's not that bad. I trusted him a little bit in it. He's not too overpowered, but that's it for this update, guys. Obviously, everything from Trunks down to Cell is released already. Mass Saiyan to Trunks Xeno is not released. It's going to be out when you get this video. So, yeah, I hope you guys are excited for this big update. I'm excited to be able to release it to you guys, so hopefully you're looking forward to it, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.